Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
And if you love the Filet-O-Fish, right now you can catch two of the classics you love for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
The day has arrived. It's the NHL Trade Deadline, and you're tapped into your fantasy hockey source. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, and we're taking a look at all of the top trending news from around the NHL that's impacting your squad. Noah Hanifin, anybody? We'll break it all down on today's episode.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Buckle up, and here we go, Steele. It is the March 8th, Friday episode, Trade Deadline Day in the NHL, and shout out to all the everydayers for making us your first listen every single day. It's the Friday edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, and oh, baby, there is no shortage of topics to get to. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Steele, giddy up, because we weren't able to get to the Noah Hanifin deal on yesterday's episode. Obviously, that's been out there, but there's angles you and I have to cover. There's fantasy takes to be had, and obviously this is a name that's been out there for forever, but we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about Gustav Forsling, one of the sneakier, more under-the-radar quality D-men in the NHL. Another good deal for the Florida Panthers. Also, big news. Freddie Andersen, he's back. He's starting, Steele. This is going to have implications big time for fantasy GMs and, of course, the Hurricanes. Jake Gensel updates. Is he going to be a New York Ranger by the time you're hearing this podcast? It's a possibility. And you know, Steele and I have a few takes on the Maple Leafs. Let's go, Steele. Friday's bets. We got a lot to get to. I'm turning it right over to you because, look, the Noah Hanifin situation, everybody's talked about his value. Everybody's talked about the Flames giving up on these pieces. Number one, how do you think Jacob Markstrom feels? I'd be wanting out of there real bad. And number two, I just don't know what this necessarily means for his fantasy value because he's already been so good. And there's not a ton of minutes to go around in Vegas. As much as I know he's going to get a look, I just need to see how he's deployed. It's looking like power play 2 time. But the main takeaway here is the Vegas Golden Knights get the biggest name on the market in terms of D-men, and here we go again. They're going to make a push at that cup.
Yeah, they definitely are making a push, and it seems like they make a big, big splash every single season. I mean, Kelly McCrimmon has just been one of the best GMs since the Vegas Golden Knights have come into the NHL. He's always doing something at the deadline. He's always making one of the biggest splash, if not the biggest splash, at the NHL trade deadline. And I mean, it's kind of funny because there were a lot of teams going in on Noah Hanifin. There was so much rumors about where he was going to go. I think the funniest to me about all of this was apparently the Edmonton Oilers were in on Noah Hanifin and Chris Tanev, but the Calgary Flames were not doing that deal because of the rivalry in Alberta. So they ended up trading them to Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. But it is kind of crazy to see how Vegas gets this done every single year. Just to break down the trade, Noah Hanifin goes to the Vegas Golden Knights where 75% will be retained. To the Flames, a conditional 2025 first-round pick, Daniil Miromanov, and a conditional 3rd-round pick, and the Flyers were also a part of this deal. They got a 2024 5th-round pick. And again, it's just crazy to see how Kelly McCrimmon is able to get these deals done. And, there's a lot of people talking right now about how it's a little bit, maybe a little bit cheap about how they're getting these deals done with putting players on the long-term injured reserve. Like this is
the Mark Stone gifs and memes are hilarious now.
This is 3 years in a row now where Mark Stone has been placed on the LTIR mid-February and then activated April 20th or April 25th. That's 3 years in a row now. We know that he suffered through some serious injuries, but I'm not sure if it's a coincidence. I don't know if they're purposely doing this, but if they're able to do it and it's legal, every team should be doing it at this point because they're getting away with it and they're doing it without consequences. So he's a great deal for Noah Hanifin. It looks like he's playing with Alec Pietrangelo on the top line because Alec Martinez is out with injury as well now.
Yeah.
I mean, this Vegas Golden Knights team is right there with Edmonton and Colorado. Like, this is going to be a crazy NHL playoffs.
And they've been struggling. So points-wise, they really do need to pick it up because there is no margin for error. The blue line on paper is looking absolutely beast mode. But there's a couple of angles there. They're not so much fantasy related, but you're alluding to this cap circumvention, the LTIR, the Tampa Bay Lightning. One of the biggest reasons why they even had shirts about it. They were like flaunting it the other year. You and I have talked about it. Yeah. How was Kucherov able to come right back? Anyway, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. You and I talked about the tax situation in terms of the states. There's a lot of different variables at play here. But we're going to stick to the fantasy angles. Let's talk about Gustav Forsling because, look, the Vegas Golden Knights need to play better. They get their guy. That blue line is looking dangerous. Let's see what they can do now with those bodies in the lineup. They also bring in Anthony Mantha. We talked about that. I don't know if they're actually done, Steele, because
probably not.
Credit due to that front office. George McPhee as well, pulling strings. However, one of our other favorites, Zito in Florida, look, we just got to show some love to Gustav Forsling. Obviously, the long-term deal is the long-term deal. Was it 5 years, Steele? 8-year contract.
8-year contract.
5 point and change million. You had the number. Hit me.
5.75 million.
Thank you very much. And let me hit you with a few more numbers. 31 points in 62 games, a plus 43.
Insane.
40 penalty minutes, 127 shots on net. Time on ice up to well over his career high of 20 minutes and change to almost 22 minutes, Steele. You know how much I love that. He's anchoring the top pairing. This is just another really, really good signing out of the front office in Florida and a nice one to get out of the way before this cup push. No questions asked. Gustav Forsling is a sneaky under-the-radar fantasy piece that I'll turn it over to you because I know you mentioned him. I think you were the first guy to ever turn me on to Forsling, and he's done nothing but fill out the peripherals as well, and I'll leave that angle for you to talk about very quickly because we got a lot more to talk about, including Freddie Andersen, Jake Gensel, what the HE double toothpicks are the Leafs doing, and Friday's bets. But Forsling, what's your take on this situation? Because another feather in Bill Zito's cap.
I mean, Bill Zito just knocked it out of the park.
Boom.
I mean, he's 27 years old. He's right in the middle of he's just getting to his prime right now. He's playing some of the best hockey. You lock him in for 8 years. That's such a great contract number as well. He's locked in until he's 35 years old. I mean, you literally could not get better than what Bill Zito is doing right now in Florida. And like you said, with the numbers, 31 points, plus 43, 7.1 shooting percentage, which is a career high for him. He's playing some heavy minutes as well, over 22 minutes of average ice time. He's got the hits. He's got the blocks. I would like to see the shots. And the funny thing at the beginning of the season was when we knew Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour were going to be out of the lineup, I thought he was going to explode. I thought he was going to take over. I thought he was going to be that guy. It was actually Oliver Ekman-Larsson who did majority of the work at the beginning of the season. Gustav Forsling's been playing his best hockey since Montour and Ekblad have come back.
Yeah, he's picked it up.
So he wants them in the lineup. He plays great with them. He plays great with Aaron Ekblad on that top D pairing. He's rostered right now at 76%. Noah Hanifin as well is also rostered at 70%. Now he's up 8% over the last week. But yeah, those are two defensemen who are just absolute studs on the back end. I think we can see a little bit more from them offensively, and we're starting to see that a little bit from Forsling from last year. And you know, I want to see him do a little bit, produce a little bit more as well as to finish off this season. But great contract all around for Bill Zito to get Gustav Forsling locked in.
Fantasy-wise, I agree with you. I think it's more in line with his game that he's right there in that 40-point realm. But I agree with you just because I think of how good he actually is. And when you see him play, you understand that, yeah, okay, he's getting it done how he is, but maybe you could see a lot more out of him. So I'm here for that take also. Florida Panthers have 90 points. They are in first place in the entire NHL, and they just added one of the more consistent goal scorers over the last number of years, a Stanley Cup champion in Vladimir Tarasenko. He already looks elated to be in Florida. I don't know if you've seen any of that content. He also lives right around the corner from the arena. His whole family is there. That could be the kind of thing, Steele, those small little points that you look at that bring a team together that's already cooking, that was already all the way to the final. I talked a lot about the Panthers yesterday, but you can't help but start drinking the Kool-Aid for the Florida Panthers, a team that has also not closed the book on maybe making another move. Not going to say it. I couldn't see it. Let's get to the rest of today's episode. Andersen, Gensel, what the Leafs are doing. Friday's bets. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Factor. 2-minute meals. Fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant quality, delicious meals that are ready to heat and eat whenever you are. Pancakes, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. No prep, no mess. Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. Flexible for your schedule. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, premium options with no cooking required. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 and use code LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off. That's code LockedOnNHL50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off.
What's up, guys? Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils here, and let me tell you about Discover Debit Cash Back. Wings for the game? Boom, cash back. New lucky jersey? Boom, cash back. Even a last-minute ice run could score you some cash back when you use your debit card. And yes, we said debit card. With Discover Cashback Debit, everyone can earn cash back on everyday purchases. Look, in sports, it's hard to predict who's taking the W, but you know what's a guaranteed win? Discover Cashback Debit. Oh, and did I mention there are no fees, period? I'm telling you, this one is a real game changer. Check out transaction eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Make sure you go over to the YouTube channel of Locked On Sports today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. You can also find them on Amazon Fire TV now. It's absolutely fire out there. Hey. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus the national shows covering every single league. So make sure you go over there, check them out on Amazon Fire TV, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Make sure you hit the subscribe, the follow button, leave a 5-star review, leave your comments down below as well. We really do appreciate all of the conversations and conversations and the feedback from everybody out there. So thank you so much for tuning in. Got a lot more to talk about. Frederik Andersen is back in the crease for the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah. Jake Gensel rumors are picking up steam heading into the last day of the NHL trade deadline. And we got to talk about what the heck is Brad Treliving doing right now with the Leafs blue line. We got a lot to talk about, but let's start with the Carolina Hurricanes and Frederik Andersen, because this is just great news to see from the hockey community.
And he's going to be back in the cage against the Montreal Canadiens. Like, this is big news for this team who has really gotten by this year. 78 points. They're only 6 back of the New York Rangers. I think they still allow the least shots against per game in the league. Just one of the best blue line cores out there. And when you have that and you have players up front like Sebastian Aho, and I know there's not like a ton of star power in that sense. I actually look at them a lot like the Minnesota Wild, really lacking one or two big guns. They got Kaprizov, but after that, who do they have? Of course, we like General Eriksson, whatever. You know where I'm getting at with that one. The fact that Freddie Andersen is back, we thought headed into this year, the strength of this team would be goaltending. Freddie goes down. Antti Ranta's inconsistent. He gets hurt multiple times. Kochetkov comes in, looks good one night, looks bad the other night, and gets hurt himself once or twice. So this has been a carousel in Carolina, and I think it just speaks to the quality of the overall team steal. The fact that they're still sitting there in second, this is big news for the Carolina Hurricanes, who now maybe don't need to be as aggressive looking for the goaltender we all thought they were going after. That's number one. Number two, fantasy-wise for Freddie, I would be wary right away. I would take it easy on if you're a week-to-week lineup set and you have to put him in there for a whole week, I might actually hold off and see what the schedule holds for Carolina next week and then make a decision. Either way, I think they're going to look to Freddie to eat the minutes here. I think that makes a whole ton of sense. I'm going to leave it at that, Steele, because now, once more, the Carolina Hurricanes have to get over that hump of not being able to get it done in the postseason. And if there's going to be any of those goalies, it's got to have to be Freddie of those three that takes them there.
Yeah, Freddie comes back from injury. The Carolina Hurricanes waive Antti Raanta. I got to assume at least one team might try to pick him up unless he clears waivers. But this is great news for the Carolina Hurricanes. It's great news for Frederik Andersen. I'm just very happy that he's doing well and he's back to the hockey game. He's rostered right now at 68%. So a lot of GMs out there were holding on to Frederik Andersen the entire season, hoping for this moment right now for him to get back in the lineup. I think it's a great game for him to start against the Montreal Canadiens as well. So we'll have to see how he plays against this Canadiens right now, as that actually they've been playing pretty decently as of the last stretch of games as well. But let's get over to Jake Guentzel and talk about the rumors about what's going on with him. I mean, there's got to be at least 6 teams, 7 teams.
We kind of have to at this point, yeah.
We have to, and I think the Carolina Hurricanes are actually one of the teams on Jake Guentzel. I'm actually very surprised that the Hurricanes haven't made a trade yet before this deadline. So maybe they're just trying to figure things out going into the last day. But Jake Guentzel, he's been rumored to the Vancouver Canucks. He's been rumored to the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Carolina Hurricanes. But now the team that has emerged on top are the New York Rangers. And I couldn't be happier if Jake Guentzel went to the New York Rangers.
I don't know. Okay. All right. Sure.
I couldn't be happier if he went to the New York Rangers. I mean, that's the team I've been picking all season to win the Stanley Cup, to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And if he goes there, wow. I mean, their offensive power is just going to be at an elite level.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. You know, the rumors out there, trade talks have intensified. This is just one of those names, Steele, that we almost anyone talks about Jake Guentzel, we have to bring it up. And these are legitimate sources. It's looking like a first-round pick and Capo Caco could both be involved in the deal going to the Pittsburgh Penguins. We know Dubas is going to have to try and salvage something here. And a good young player, along with a draft pick, obviously a first, might go a long way in appeasing the likes of Sidney Crosby and some of those other veterans in Pittsburgh that, look, this season is basically toast. But you owe it to Sidney Crosby. This is going to have to be some sort of rebuild on the fly. I don't know how Dubas is going to spin this or sell this, but I think bringing in at least a NHL-ready piece, which, 40 points last season for Kako. He's an NHL-ready player at least. Maybe he's not performing to expectations, but you know where I'm going with that angle. So I understand that one. Also, it would be massive for the New York Rangers, an already balanced attack, very worthy of making a run. In terms of you loving it so much as a Leafs fan, not really loving the Rangers stacking up even more, but let's be realistic. And this can slide right into our conversation about the Leafs if you want to start it, and we can finish it after the break. They are not built as a Stanley Cup team. They're not even close. And you and I can agree on that. And I'll leave you to your own opinion, obviously, and your own take on this. I respect the angle of finally not selling off assets, or however angles like Treliving is spinning, not really going after big names or landing them anyway. You're still selling off assets to bring in guys like Edmondson and Lyubushkin. And I get that they're big bruisers and they could use some sandpaper. They're all left-handed shotted defensemen. I don't see the lineup. That's not making sense. I don't get the mix. I don't get still selling off multiple second and third and fourth round picks or whatever they've been giving away. I would have rather actually selling off a first and getting someone much more substantial. I don't see it, Steele. I don't really understand. I get it from the angle of like hands are tied, I would have rather than just stand pat. Let this team run into the first round and see what they can do. The game tonight that's in the mix right now, by the way, against the Boston Bruins is also huge. If they come out and play an awesome game, I'm telling you, Treliving is much more willing to go to the phones and maybe make another move. I know it's only one game, but you can't help but feel if they get pumped once again tonight or last night, that's going to be it for the moves for the Leafs.
Yeah, and I do agree with that take, and
appreciate that. Thank you.
It is very frustrating as a Leafs fan when we all know that we've been searching for a right shot defenseman. That's what's been going on. That's what's been said over the last couple of months. That's what they're targeting. And you go out and acquire Joel Edmondson of the Washington Capitals. I'm not trying to diss Joel Edmondson, but like you said, you're giving up assets. And even though it's a 3rd and a 5th round pick, why are you going out there and getting a left shot defenseman? We now have 8 left shot defensemen on the blue line. And I've said this over the last 2 years, and I've said this throughout my life. Defense wins championships. And I do believe the Maple Leafs have a strong enough offensive group to make a deep playoff run or, get past the first and second round. But when it comes to the Eastern Conference Finals and it comes to the Stanley Cup Finals, you need your defensive group to stand tall and stand strong in front of their goaltenders. You obviously need a strong goaltender going into the playoffs, but if you've got a weak blue line in front of your goaltender, you're going to get pushed around very, very easily in the playoff atmosphere, especially against some of these top teams that are coming out of the West, making these big trades right now, even teams in the Eastern Conference like the Florida Panthers, the Boston Bruins, and the New York Rangers as the top 3. So, I'm pretty skeptical going into the last day of the NHL trade deadline. I'm pretty skeptical about the Leafs' chances going into the postseason if they don't address this situation. And again, I've said this before, when Simon Benoit is your second best defenseman, it speaks volumes to how bad they are on the blue line. I mean, TJ Brody is an absolute liability out there. I hate the way he plays the game. He gives up the puck too many times. Right. I mean, I like Liljegren, but he can be very sloppy in the defensive zone at times too. He doesn't get pucks on net very, very clearly. So, I mean, it's very frustrating at this point.
Hey, let's see where it goes from here, Steele. It doesn't, I guess everything makes sense in terms of like their hands are strapped. It's a tough situation. Yeah. Then just let it lie. I guess it's also hard when your team has performed to the way it has really well of late and not at least give them something and reward them for their on-ice performance, because that's obviously a tough pill to swallow if you're the team on the ice who've won whatever it is, 11 out of their last, 13 or 14 games. Yeah. They've definitely done their part over the last couple of weeks, but it's just a tough situation. I said this at the start of the season. I don't know if you remember it, and it holds so true right now. The Leafs are at a tipping point. I said it then, and it holds even more true right now. And you're seeing it with how Brad Treliving is having to navigate these waters. By the time you're hearing this episode on Friday, there is going to be a lot more news that Steele and I have to cover. Thankfully, we have a Saturday special. Tune in tomorrow. Steele and I are going to cover every single move that went down that's affecting your fantasy squad. And we got bets coming up right after the break.
Right after the break, indeed. And this episode is also brought to you by Indeed.
Bang!
When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Something I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy with the Instant Match, because Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor a job and boom, Instant Match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description immediately after you post. With Instant Match, you can start hiring fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you need to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon, Indeed.com/lockedon. Locked On. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Have you ever seen an NHL player get off a team bus and think to yourself, gosh, I wish I could dress that nice? Well, with Indochino, you can. Indochino makes fully customized suits that don't require a trip to the tailor to get that perfect fit. Recently, I was shopping for a new dress shirt for my upcoming wedding, and when I decided to go with the Hyde herringbone shirt, I was blown away at all the customization options I had. I could change the type of collar, cuffs, and even decide whether or not I wanted a chest pocket, all while being incredibly affordable, especially given the quality of the product I was getting. New colors, fabrics, and outerwear styles are added regularly too, so it's easy to create your next look. Level up your game with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com and use code NHL to get 10% off any purchase of $399 or more. That's 10% off at INDOCHINO.com with code NHL.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to hit the subscribe, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate all that love and support you show us Monday through Friday. 7 o'clock in the morning is when you can find our episodes. We're going to get to big time bets very, very quickly, but I just want to talk about this real quick. Is Jake Gensel a left winger or a centerman? Because they've got him listed as a centerman right now on Hockey Reference.
Hockey Reference, he's a centerman, but he's a left-handed shot. So he's most definitely a natural winger. Yeah. Most definitely, I guess, playing junior or, in his younger career, I think he played some center position. Maybe that's why he's there. Positional eligibility is one of those very finicky things, Steele, when it comes to fantasy, that platform to platform, week to week, it can really be something that's hard to track. So that's a very interesting point that you bring up. But right now, in terms of where we're at in the schedule, it's also very hard to track in terms of bets. It's been up and down for me the last week or so. I know you're having a little bit better of a time. So I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say, and I want to turn it right over to you. And I just want to leave it at this. By the time people are listening to this right now, it's Friday, and there's going to be a lot going on. And the next even day or two in terms of bets, I would just say back up off, lay your wagers down low, and see how lineups are being deployed. And then maybe next week, once teams like Vegas have their beast mode new lineup out there, then start taking a look. Because these bottom-feeding teams, and that's one of the angles I'm looking at tonight, Steele, they are going to start to get really dusted aside. And I know I've been betting the Dallas Stars a lot, and that's a little bit of a tease. But this is just what's going to happen. So take it away. Where are you looking? I got 3 picks, including my lock of the night. Where are you at?
I'll rattle off my first 2 picks and save the lock of the night for the last one. First pick of the night, like you said, these bottom feeding tier teams, they're going to get absolutely pumped for the most part, because teams that are battling for a playoff spot or holding on to one right now, they're going to be playing their hardest, and these are big 2 points. So that's sort of the trend I'm going with, and what I'm thinking going into this Friday night. 4 games on the schedule. First pick, Red Wings on the money line against the Arizona Coyotes at -120. They have struggled against the Arizona Coyotes as of late, losing 5 of the last 6. But like I said, this is a big 2 points that the Red Wings cannot afford to give up. I know they're without Dylan Larkin right now, but, Alex DeBrincat, Patrick Kane, Moritz Seider on the back end, Alex Lyon in the net. I think they get it done against a very weak Arizona Coyotes team that's gone 2-7-1 in their last 10.
Obvious angle there. Got you.
Second pick, going back to the one that missed for me a couple of days ago, but I'm switching it a little bit slightly. I think last week I took the Jets and Kraken under 5.5. It did not hit for me. I believe it was a 4-3 win for the Kraken. I'm going to take the Jets Kraken under 6.5 in this matchup at -100. Okay. I think it's going to hit for me this time around. Hellebuck, Joey Daccord playing his best game, this best hockey right now. So I'm taking the under 6.5 in that matchup.
I like that you're flip-flopping. I appreciate it. First pick of the night, I'm going to Detroit at Arizona as well. The last 3 games between these 2 teams have produced 26 goals combined. And over the last 10 head-to-head, 8 of the last 10 have gone over the number. This one screams like an over. I would obviously lean to Detroit, but given the stats you just reamed off, maybe Zona keeps it close. Even more so, I'm liking the over. Hit me with the over. Detroit, Arizona, over 6.5. Minnesota rolls into Colorado. Look, Colorado made big moves. We've talked about what that can mean for a locker room. The Minnesota Wild seem to be perhaps sellers. I don't want to say that outright, but that's the angle that's continuing to look more obvious. Head-to-head, 6-3-1 for Colorado. Obviously, this is the better team, but I'm feeling the mojo here, Steele. That's not a ton to go on. -165. good odd. I'm feeling the Colorado Avalanche at home on the money line. That's my second pick. As a Minnesota fan, I don't know if you're buying into that as much because the 4-5-1 for Mini over the last 10 is a number, but I'm just really feeling Colorado in this spot.
Yeah, I'd probably be feeling Colorado as well in this spot. You know, the Minnesota have struggled against them. They've struggled against them in the regular season. They struggle against them in the playoffs. This is where my lock of the night actually comes in. I'm not taking the money line, but I'm going with the player prop. Nathan MacKinnon over 1.5 points in this matchup. 24 points in his last 11 games. 8 of those games, he had multi-point games and has 50 points in 44 games against the Minnesota Wild. So Nathan MacKinnon is on a heater right now. He's playing the best hockey of his career. He's over 100 points already in the season. Lock of the night, Nathan MacKinnon over 1.5 points.
Absolutely cooking, feeling it from my angle as well. Look, lock of the night, Dallas Stars into Anaheim. The Anaheim Ducks are just bad. They just traded out Henrique. McTavish is banged up. The season has been cooked. Also, Dallas 9-1-0 in their last 10 against the Ducks. The Stars had trouble with the San Jose Sharks the last 2 games, only squeaking out 1-goal wins in both. And I took the puck line in both and got burned. So obviously there's not a ton of value here. Stars on the money line minus 250. That's why it's my lock of the night. Slap it into your favorite parlay. Thank me later because they are going to bang out. I don't want to jinx myself and say it's by a big number only because of how close those last couple have been. Dallas, money line minus 250. That's the lock of the night.
Logan Stankoven coming to the rescue in that big 7-6 overtime win. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Make sure you're checking out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. You can also find it now on Amazon Fire TV. They are here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus the national shows covering every single league. Again, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. Make sure you're tuning in for the Saturday special. We're going to cover all the NHL Trade Deadline last-minute acquisitions. Good luck with your bets tonight, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.
Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
And if you love the Filet-O-Fish, right now you can catch 2 of the classics you love for just $6. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries plus napkins plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.